Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Tremendous. Great to have you with us on the show today. It walked in, and first thing Kyle says is, the room smells like Jerry Valeri.
Am I wrong?
And the two words that came to my mind were transfer station. All right, so what? You act like what?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Lee. Yeah. So Shohei Ohtani gets to 50-50. It's a tremendous accomplishment. Didn't he drive in 10 runs?
He drove in 10 runs.
Last time I remember a guy driving in 10 runs was 1975. Fred Lynn did it against the Detroit Tigers at Tiger Stadium, and I was listening to the game that night. Red Sox had a really terrific team that year. They made it to the World Series, got to Game 7.
Yeah.
So Lynn was the MVP and Rookie of the Year that year. He drove in 10 in a game. Well, Ohtani drove in 10 in this game.
And looped in that is the Dodgers. He had a 10 RBI, 3 home run, 2 stolen base game to do it.
No.
Like, that's monstrous.
Right. That's a tremendous game, and anybody who went to it or watched it. But, here's the problem. And I was talking to Sweeney Murdy the other day, and Sweeney's doing a lot of work with MLB.com. And I said, Sweeney, I said, I don't really see him play that much. I said, I've never seen him play a whole game.
Yeah.
He's in the West Coast. He goes, no, we put out highlights and everything like that. No, that's an excuse that really has gone by the boards. Sweeney, it hasn't. It hasn't. Okay, I don't, not everybody consumes by phone, and even then they're not looking up Shohei Ohtani highlights.
Yeah.
They're not. Okay? And I've rarely seen him play. I've seen him pitch, and when he's pitched, I've been a little more interested, but I've seen him pitch. But that's what should be upsetting to Major League Baseball. You can celebrate all this you want, and it's not like Major League Baseball doesn't have some great stories. Ohtani's a great story. Mookie Betts is always a great story. The Yankees already the first to clinch. That's a great story. What the Phillies have done all season long, that's a great story. So there have been some great stories out there
Big time.
This year. But Major League Baseball has done a very poor job of presenting this. It starts with the attitude that is projected, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, by the commissioner. Right? He doesn't help at all when it comes to the perception of the game. Now, has he helped with the speeding up of the game? Yes. Let's give credit where credit is due to Rob Manfred and his people for the pitch clock, for the bigger bases, which aren't talked enough. This is a 50-50 with bigger bases, okay? I'm sorry, we weren't supposed to mention that. Sorry.
But he's done a lot of positives.
But I'm saying, though, so it's not like it's been completely negative. But he doesn't have a lot of personality. And
when he does show his personality, it turns off every baseball fan there ever was.
Right. I'm saying that's where it starts.
Yeah.
They take their Friday night games and they're sticking them on Apple. I'm sorry. Apple's viewership has not grown.
Your Friday game should be on ESPN.
That's where it
should be.
Your Friday game should be on local TV.
That too.
Okay? Because remember, Apple has it exclusively on Friday night, which means if the Yankees are playing the Red Sox, and Nesson can't carry the game.
Yeah.
You're like sitting there going, well, forget this. Okay, you're turning off viewers by forcing them to do so. I keep going back to stop forcing the public to do things.
And baseball is the biggest.
And baseball is the biggest offender of this. Hey, there's, it's some games. I think a couple of Yankee games are on Amazon Prime, whatever.
Yeah.
But there are enough people to have the NFL package. Right.
But they're not going to Amazon purely for a baseball game.
Right,
Like,
but I'm saying, though, but no people have, my point is, it's almost like a part of, because of what Amazon's done with Thursday Night Football, people have the package.
Yeah.
Apple TV, they don't. You've got to get it. Just like this thing with Peacock. We're going to keep forcing you to. No, people are not. Eagles play the Packers. I told you they would brag about how big. Right? Then the first Thursday Night Football game was played. And first Thursday night game.
Thursday.
Right? On Prime. Had almost 2 million more viewers. Really? Wow. Doesn't seem so big now, does it?
Yeah. And as we've discussed, the best way to do this is to simulcast both places. And what are they doing to Sunday's game, Chiefs at Falcons? What are they doing? NBC and on Peacock.
Right.
It is the perfect thing to do. Put it on both. Give people the option because you will add to your viewership, not take away from it.
The whole point is to get a maximum amount of viewers. Now, you're saying put it on Friday night ESPN. Apple exists on Friday night because ESPN dropped Major League Baseball.
Exactly.
And the Apple package financially to the dollar made up for ESPN getting out. So that's why it exists.
But let's go back to Ohtani 50-50.
But I'm saying though, but people haven't seen him play. How many at bats have you ever seen Ohtani take? I may have seen him take in my lifetime 20
maybe
on TV.
Yeah.
20, maybe 20. Yeah. And I might be too high.
You might be overselling, yeah. And I feel like part of it is the baseball in general. Can we agree baseball has the worst branding of the star athletes of any sport?
No question. In fact, when they do the top 100 most recognizable athletes, there usually is not a major league player in the top 100.
Yeah.
A couple times Trout has been able to get into the 90s.
Yeah. And Judge has cracked it, but like that's pretty much it. Like you don't get like even going a decade or so ago, it was a little better. But even then, like it was pretty much like Big Papi, maybe A-Rod or Jeter at best.
Yeah,
One of them would maybe get there. Like that was pretty much it. And you've got a guy who's probably one of the biggest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
But anyone in the U.S. is like, who?
Yeah.
Unless they're a baseball fan.
He got more publicity for his interpreter being arrested than he did for doing 50-50. I believe that was an afternoon game yesterday, wasn't it?
It was
because the game was on live at the field, and I kept glancing up, and he was running around the bases.
Yeah, it was a 4:40 game on ESPN Plus last night in Miami, which is just an odd time to have a game. Number one on a Thursday.
Well, it's a Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday's getaway day.
That makes sense.
Okay, this is why I'm here.
But it was 4:40 game. Shohei's on, so that means the 9th inning when he started cracking off another home run, his third one. It was prime time, 6-7 o'clock at night.
But it was on ESPN Plus. Okay,
Yep.
I could only see it because I was at the field and they have ESPN Plus. I don't have ESPN Plus at home. I have no desire to get ESPN Plus. There's nothing on there I want to watch. Okay, there's nothing on there I want to watch. And it's interesting where, for example, Ohio State's playing Marshall tomorrow. And no, I'm sorry. My apologies. Ohio State's next week game. The game with Marshall is...
The game Marshall's today. It's tomorrow. It's on Fox.
It's on Fox. Next week's game, and I can't remember who Ohio State's playing next week.
Michigan State in East Lansing.
It's on Peacock. Again, now it'll be opposite Penn State, Illinois, so it doesn't matter. But you can't keep doing this where you're trying to shove something down everybody's throats. You're supposed to be maximizing. If I'm the Big Ten, I'm looking at these guys and go, no, exclusive. The Big Ten agreed to this. It's wrong. Okay? If I'm the commissioner of the Big Ten, whom I have great respect for, I personally like Tony a lot.
You've discussed him a lot.
Right? Yeah. But I personally like him, and I really respect him, and I love talking to him, right? Because I feel like I learn a lot when I talk to Tony, and he listens. But as I've said before about kickoffs right? And I've said about this deal, isn't it the job of the conference to maximize viewership?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That doesn't maximize viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even come close to maximizing viewership.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. Now, if you do what you talked about, which is the smart, logical thing to do, I'm completely on board with exactly what you said. There are people that don't have over-the-air TV but have streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Yeah.
If you do a combo of NBC, Peacock together, I have now taken care of the audience over here on the right and people such as yourself that stream and want to watch the game on their computer.
Exactly.
I mean, I've now maximized my audience. Isn't that the goal?
It is.
I don't understand who came up with the idea of we're going to get as much money out of the networks as possible and we're going to force people to go someplace to find it.
Yeah.
No, the goal is to make life for the fan the easiest you can make it. That's why I talk about the fan experience in the stadium all the time. I mean, and I'm really, as everybody knows, I have pushed hard on the fan experience in the stadium. They make the difference in everything. They make the difference in the game. They make the difference in the ambiance on TV. They make a difference in how people feel about the program. They make a difference everywhere. The people in the stadium make that difference. Okay? The guy sitting on his easy chair, okay, paying his cable. Guess what? All the people inside the stadium either paid a streaming or cable bill. So they're doing both.
And so in MLB pushing the viewership in the way they are just still doesn't make sense to anyone. It hasn't for a while. And it just, baseball is in this weird place where television wise, like, it's just not competing in the same way baseball or same way basketball. Football, and I would even say hockey. I would say the NHL is doing a better job in terms of not just the games, but the overall ambiance of it all. Because for me, that's studio shows. Those are the personalities on air. Like, baseball has the best personalities, but they don't put them up the same way they used to. And you've now got hockey who's got its show with all these players coming back and having good time on these like talk shows similar to what Inside the NBA is. Like, they do it so well. And even basketball with Inside the NBA on its own does better with that. In the future, we'll see what the deal is.
See, I don't watch those shows because I could care less.
You don't watch it, but there are a lot of people that tune in to watch them. And baseball doesn't have the same draw it did back with Baseball Tonight, back, I would say, 15 years ago. Right. I would tune in to watch it. Now I don't, and I don't know many people that do anymore.
Well, in the 50s, the three biggest sports in the 50s were baseball, boxing, and horse racing. Times have changed, okay? NFL is number one. College football is number two. The NBA is number three. You can say that college basketball, March Madness
is four.
College basketball is right behind it. And then I think it becomes a debate between Major League Baseball and the NHL. Now, I know the ratings-wise, Major League Baseball, the World Series will double the rating, if not triple the rating of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Time of the year also dictates it. You're talking about October. More people are indoors to begin with. But Major League Baseball, Ohtani is a great player who has spent his entire career on the West Coast, has never played in a postseason game. Okay, so he has not had a postseason showcase. So your exposure to Shohei Ohtani has been either through MLB Network, highlights on ESPN, right, or the All-Star game. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. His at-bat's over with. Have a good night. And that's our exposure to Shohei Ohtani because of where he plays. Aaron Judge, we get overwhelmed by he goes 16 games without hitting a home run, and of course, ESPN treats it as a potential national tragedy because it's killing their highlight package.
You know what the most viewed Shohei Ohtani game was? Wasn't even the MLB. It was in the World Baseball Classic. It was him versus Trout in the bottom of the ninth or whatever that was. That was the most viewed Ohtani thing we've seen.
Right.
And it wasn't even in the major leagues.
Right.
Like, that is absurd to say out loud. He plays in the number 2 market in the U.S. You would think they know how to promote a star who plays in Los Angeles. You'd think that's like the one place you could have him outside of New York where hypothetically, like, you'd promote the bejesus out of it. But they keep on failing. It's laughable. And I don't get it. I think the last time, and I don't remember a lot of the 2000s, of course, because I was still growing up. So, like, I haven't watched a lot of it. But I think the last time baseball had a real spectacle was McGuire Sosa. Like,
yeah, right. That's probably true.
Which is crazy to say out loud. Well, it's been that long.
But probably Yankees Red Sox 2004.
Okay. 2004.
You know, the way the comeback happened. I mean, it was one of those.
But like in terms of
things,
star players, just purely the players themselves.
There's a few star players in that thing.
But like in terms of
there are more star players in that than there were in McGuire Sosa. There were two stars. The Red Sox and Yankees were easily the two best teams in baseball that year.
Yes.
And they had like stars.
But if you are a casual fan,
right,
you heard McGuire Sosa and you could ask anyone and they'd probably be able to tell you who they were and what was going on because it was everywhere all the time, 24/7.
Right.
The only person in baseball right now who has the ability to even get close to that is Judge, who we've discussed. He's the only one who gets even remotely close to those numbers because on his streak, as we've discussed, it was on Apple TV Plus for whatever reason. But like that is the only player who gets even remotely close to what those people were doing.
That's true.
And hypothetically, Ohtani's the guy who should be bigger because he's got the global appeal and he plays in Los Angeles and he's this lovable person. Like,
yeah, but except he's a lovable person that is not. Okay. Here's another issue. Okay. What's the only commercial you see Shohei Ohtani on?
I have no idea.
New Balance.
Okay.
Right? And all he says at the end is New Balance. It's not his fault that he's from Japan. It's not his fault that he's not completely comfortable speaking English. That's not his fault. But it does limit his commercial appeal if he's not.
Yeah. And you can go and get Aaron. You can get Judge and go say, hey, Subway, like, let's go grab Aaron Judge. And they go do it. And then you got him swinging a hoagie.
Right. And it's not Ohtani's fault. I'm just saying in terms of commercial appeal. Right. But what Major League Baseball players have commercial appeal? Mookie Betts should. Mookie Betts is an incredible personality. He's a great player. In fact, in a lot of ways, and to be honest with you, a lot of ways, actually a better player than Ohtani.
I'd say Harper's got pretty good appeal.
Harper's got a ton of appeal. Schwarber does. Judge does. Gleyber Torres, no.
I'd say Soto's probably in the same. He's got at least some appeal. Got a little bit. But I'd probably say Pete Alonso's got more than him. A couple years ago,
Alonso's probably not going to be a Met next year.
But a couple years ago,
I mean, Lindor has great personality, but it doesn't translate over. Julio Rodriguez has great personality, but he hasn't had a great year. That hasn't helped.
And he's up in Seattle, and that's just
and Altuve is surrounded by problems.
And as soon as the Houston stuff happened, all appeal for Houston just dropped off the face of the earth.
Anybody with Houston lost any kind of national appeal.
Yeah.
So I mean and part of it, the issue is the 162 games. I've said a long time ago, and this is something where this is ideology versus realism. So realistically, what I'm about to say is not going to happen because okay, but Major League Baseball should probably be 132 games. Right. Major League Baseball should probably end its season by Labor Day. Right when the NFL's not quite starting yet.
Preseason-y.
Right there, college football's kind of started, but it's once a week. Right? And in September you play the playoffs. We'd be deep into it right now talking about it.
Maybe October 1st is the start of the World Series. Like that's the day you look at. Start of the World Series around
I don't even know if you get to that. I mean, you might start it like September 26th, and spill into October, but finish it up. The NBA should be 60 games. That's all they're playing anyway. The NBA should be 60 games. Right? The NHL should be 60 games. Okay? The NFL should probably be 14. Okay. Because sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Now, it would skew all the records. We would not have an Ohtani with a 50-50 in a 130-game season. We would not have Judge hitting over 50 home runs in a 130-game season. And baseball, of course, is steeped in statistical lore. But less is more, though, in terms of the product that we're seeing. And if you had a 130-game season where now you don't have anybody, in all likelihood, running away with it, and you're in the month of August and people are fighting to get there and there's some excitement, you're only going up against NFL preseason games where the starters aren't playing anyway. College football is in training camp and hasn't played a game yet. Okay, and you structure a television package where maximum amount of viewership to see games, right? Where you're not fooling around with, we're ahead of the curve, we're streaming. You supplement with streaming. You don't force streaming.
And I want to, we've brought this up and discussed this a lot.
But they won't do this, by the way.
They won't do this.
I'm saying it's ideology versus realism, okay? Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, agreed.
And, the NBA would be better off with a 60-game season. People are losing interest in at the beginning. The NBA is going to start its season, coming up, in 6 weeks?
Something like that,
right? Like, whoop-de-doo, right? The first time anybody pays attention to it is Christmas Day. Oh, and the NFL took that away, right? Now you get 2 games on Christmas Day. Well, guess what? People are not watching the NBA like they used to on Christmas Day. Right? Then after that, what's the next thing? The in-season tournament? Really? Oh, that is really exciting. I can't believe the Lakers put up a banner for that. The NHL, same thing. It drags out so long. But realistically, you can't do it because the owners need the additional 22 games. In baseball, they need the additional 32 games. So divided by 2, that's 16 home games. Okay? 20 games divided by 2, it's 10 home games. They need the luxury suite. They need the seat license, everything else that goes with it with an 82-game schedule because of how high the salaries happen to be. Football's the same way.
You know what sport I love purely because of the scheduling? And I've discussed it a billion times.
Well, it's 38 games, and it's Premier League.
The Premier League, 38 games. You play every team twice, home, away. That's it. Yeah. You know exactly how long it is. The only calendar shifts are when there is more cup competitions or Champions League games. And that's a whole discussion we'll have a different day because players are currently discussing the fact of, like, do we just have a go on strike and say, stop it? It's too much, which we'll discuss another time. But like that schedule is perfect. It starts in August. It goes once a week. Everyone plays. December, they have twice a week matches because that's the Christmas period. Everyone's on their TVs. You play an extra match or 2 on Boxing Day, on New Year's Day, around there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden back to the usual schedule and you wrap up like May 1st. Yep. It is the ideal schedule. You play everyone a certain number of times and it's perfect. I get other sports changing it, but it's as we've said, it's too much now.
Well,
it's too much.
It's too much. At the same time, they also do things differently over there anyway, because I'm not for relegation. Relegation does not work in this country, even though you have people. I don't blame people in talk shows bringing up the topic. But it's not our culture.
It doesn't work here, as we've discussed.
It's not how it. Okay, but back to Ohtani, great talent. I guess he's starting to throw a little bit now, which is good.
So next year, hopefully, it should be a little better with him in the viewability because all of a sudden he hopefully will be pitching every 5 games, and that should at least help a little bit in terms of his numbers because you'll see him more.
Right. I think it's great he can do it. I know it's compared to Babe Ruth. Was Babe Ruth a better pitcher than Ohtani? Statistically, yes, because when Ruth was a 20-plus game winner a couple times with the Red Sox, and by the way, won a bunch of World Series games as a pitcher, right? But Ruth only really combined pitching and hitting his last couple of years with the Red Sox. Like the last couple of years, when he went to the Yankees, he only appeared in, I think, 5 games total. All right, when he went to the Yankees, he only appeared in 5 games total as a pitcher. I think he won them all, or it was 4-0 out of the 5 or whatever.
It was real good.
but it's a myth, right? There was a couple of years with the Red Sox he was doing both, but with the Yankees he did it once in a great while. Hey, let's pitch him today. This will be a lot of fun. Ohtani at least has been doing it on a regular basis and is a terrific pitcher.
Yeah,
but. it's 50-50 in a ballpark where people don't you don't have a lot of 50 home run hitters in the history of the Dodgers. So it tells you a lot about him. It's not like he's dealing with Yankee Stadium as a left-handed hitter and there's a short porch in right field, and guess what? You can just aim for that thing. I mean, that helps Judge tremendously as an opposite field hitter. And so when he hits it, he's just a great hitter. There's an argument about whether a DH can be an MVP. Of course a DH can be an MVP. Hey, we have too many ridiculous standards here, right? Is he the best player? Well, if he's the best player, vote for him. Right? I don't care if he's a DH. Last I checked, since 1972, that's a position. Okay? Not since 2022, since 1972. Okay? It's been a position in Major League Baseball now for 52 years. Okay? Guess what? It's a position. Vote for him. It's fine. You can do that. But I mean, I don't know if we can or not. I don't know if we should. Oh, fine. Just get off your high horse. And guess what? If you think Aaron Judge is better, vote for him. If you think who's better in the National League than Ohtani? Who? In the National League, who's better than Ohtani?
No one.
No.
You'd have the next tier would be what, Betts and Harper after that?
Betts, Harper, Lindor's had a really good year to his credit. And Lindor's I know he's been banged up lately.
Yeah. But it'd be those three guys below him. Like, notably, they are on a different level than him.
Sure. There's really nobody on Milwaukee. I know they're going to win they're going to win the pennant in the Central Division. Just fine. All the Pirates are out. What? I'm
not saying anything bad, but Ohtani,
like a guy like Trey Turner is going to get like, if you vote 1 through 10, Trey Turner is going to get some votes in the 7, 8, 9, 10 area.
Yeah.
Who very quietly after coming back from his injury has had a great year. Right? Now, is it an MVP year? No, of course not. Right? But he'll get some votes. Zach Wheeler might get some votes as a pitcher. Okay, which is fine. I mean, look, it's but what Ohtani has done is special. I remember when Jose Canseco did 40-40 was a big deal. Well, this is 50-50. Nobody's done this before, right? And it shows the all-around player that he is. Hits with power, runs the bases. Now, are the bases bigger now? Yes. Are you allowed to throw over a third time? Yes, but if you don't, it's a balk. And you don't get them, it's a balk. So there are rules that are in favor of allowing him to do this. I mean, it's like, it's like you're not almost like you really shouldn't mention the bases are bigger. It's almost like in women's basketball, you can't mention the ball smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't say that. Well, it's a fact. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. Yeah. I'm saying, though.
I know.
You can't mention the bases are bigger. They are.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen them?
I know.
It's like, okay. I mean, it's not just like they're 4 inches bigger to get to. Remember, it's 4 inches bigger that you're leading off at, too.
Yeah.
So if you go out to your standard lead, the exact same distance that you were with the older bases, you're 4 inches further out and have 4 fewer inches to get to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
Right? So it does have to be, but Ohtani got 50 by 50 playing by exactly the rules that were in play when he did it.
Yes.
Okay? And that's all that matters. But I always laugh at these things when you bring something up and go, well, you really shouldn't bring that up. Excuse me, why not? It's a fact. Okay.
And you mentioned basketball. We'll shift gears now from Ohtani away real fast. Both men's and women's basketball schedules have been released.
All right, let me give you the Dick Girardi. Dick Girardi's texted me last time when I'm at the field.
This I'm excited for. He's an analyst after all.
Dick Girardi.
Analyst. What'd he say? What
so he starts texting me, actually, when I was at practice. So
of course.
I sat in the parking lot of football afterward and read some of these. Then these texted me when I'm still at the field. September 8th okay, just to let you know where our mindset is. The first text Saturday, September 8th at UCLA, Sunday, September 9th at Santa Anita, and then February 11th, Tuesday at USC. Okay.
Yeah.
Open with Purdue at home. Super Bowl Sunday at Santa Anita.
Mm-hmm.
This is the next text. At Rutgers, second game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's so he's jumping from December back and forth. Purdue, home, then at Rutgers. Okay. All right, so here's the deal. Steve, Santa Anita, they start at 11 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday last year. They are done by 3. If we get there that Thursday, we can always go Friday. But we are going. And Mike needs to come with us. Mike Rose. Oh, no, what? No, I've already talked to Mike about this. No. I've talked to Mike. Okay? Mike's like, he says, oh, no, Mike's got ideas here, okay? It's not just Mike. Mike
there
likes to bring there are a couple. No, but Mike has some other ideas around it that actually might benefit the program.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then so I texted back, well, this is going to be epic. Penn State's schedule was announced last. Very much an afterthought. Did not mention any players and said it was going to be a gauntlet early. Robbie Hummel said Purdue has the league's best backcourt. I want to see those two without Zach Edey. Okay.
Fair.
All right. I texted him, afterthought, I'm stunned. No Edey equals a few more problems for them. All right. Dick, can't wait to see them get pressed for 40 at the BJC. Distinct possibility. Let's see. Season-ending game is at, I texted him, is at Cole. I said, Wisconsin, an interesting group. Door is open. And Dick, this league sucks again.
And
right?
Yeah. To give fans an idea of what was being discussed in that text chain, we've got Purdue is the first home game in the BJC for Big Ten play on December 5th.
They're good.
December 10th.
Purdue, by the way, is good. Okay, let's give credit where credit's due.
And then the second game, December 10th, Penn State goes away to Piscataway.
It's a Tuesday.
For a Tuesday game in Rutgers. It's going to be a big game with Rutgers' new recruits, and that's going to be a gauntlet game.
Then they've got Northwestern here on the 2nd.
And then
at the BJC, so the students won't be here for that.
And then the Palestra game on the 5th against Indiana.
That's a Sunday.
And Sunday.
That's a Sunday.
That Wednesday on the road to Champaign to play Illinois.
On the 8th.
And then at home for the BJC game against Oregon.
Okay, now, the Oregon thing, somebody mentioned about students being on campus. My understanding is that they are not starting classes till the 13th, I don't think.
But they'll probably be back around that Sunday. Some students get back
Look,
for
when
that.
Zach Edey came in 2 years ago, okay, the students were back on this Sunday deal. Okay? No. Okay? Most of them get there late, they're real packaged up. They're not coming in on Saturday.
Right.
Cut me a break.
Well, regardless, Oregon on the 12th, then it's away to East Lansing on the 15th. Hopefully we don't get stuck there again because I don't want to deal with that again.
Right. Rutgers home. That's on a Monday night, I think.
Yeah, it is a Monday.
It's a
game.
Monday night.
And then
they don't that's okay. Let's cut to the chase here. Penn State plays no Saturday games in January. I mean, they don't play Saturday games, period, in January. There isn't a single Saturday game in January for Penn State.
Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Monday, and then it's away to Iowa on a Friday, and then away to Michigan on the Monday in Ann Arbor, and Thursday and against Ohio State in the BJC.
Okay, the only weekend games that they play happen to be Northwestern with the students not here, and Oregon with maybe the students here.
Yeah.
Those are the only weekend games. Now, when they get to February...
Then it starts kind of.
Kind of.
Because you have Tuesday's February game against Minnesota, and then you travel out to the West Coast, where Dick Girardi is going to be a very happy man. UCLA away on Saturday the 8th. USC away on the 11th on the Tuesday. And then you're back home, BJC, on the Saturday against Washington.
That's the first Saturday game. But see, we don't have times for this. Saturday game with Washington.
Yeah.
Then they stay home, and I think it's a Thursday?
A Wednesday against Nebraska. And then away Saturday to Minnesota on the 22nd, away to Bloomington in Indiana on Wednesday the 26th, then back home for Maryland on Saturday, March 1st.
Which will be senior day.
And then away to Wisconsin a week later on the next Saturday at the Kohl Center to wrap up the Big Ten regular season on the March 8th.
And the tournament where 15 of the 18 will go will be at
Indianapolis, March 12th through March 16th, Wednesday through Sunday, as kind of per usual. So that's the men's schedule, which is interesting.
Santa Anita started at 11 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday last year, done by 3.
Jeez.
Look, okay, all right, just so everybody understands, okay? At minimum, Penn State will have to go out there, no questions asked, Friday the 7th, okay? Doesn't mean they can't leave the 6th, but the 7th they'll go out there.
Yeah.
We're not going to be getting back until the early morning hours of the 12th. All right? So you're talking about the 7th through the 12th that you're out there.
5-6
You're going to be out there full days now. Saturday the 8th, Sunday the 9th, Monday the 10th, and Tuesday the 11th. Okay? Well, guess what? Okay? If he wants to go there, I'm going to go with him. We'll have a good time.
Of course.
Okay? What are we supposed to do? Sit in the hotel?
No.
Of course not. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nah, look, we'll go to dinner at some nice place, whatever. I don't know who's engineering it.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's you
I'm guessing it'll be a little Bob Taylor action in there.
Could be Bob, could be Roger, whomever. But we're going to be out there for days. Right? So they're like, oh, figures you're going to go to Santa. Excuse me, what do you want us to do? We're not cloistered nuns here. Okay? Guess what?
Yeah.
Okay? It's nice that we have something to do.
I know.
Okay? Because we will go to practice. There's no question we'll go to practice. Okay? I will prep the next game. Okay? Well, practice is 2 hours.
Yeah.
Prepping the next game for me, especially at that stage of the season, right, is going to be about an hour. Okay? We got about 72 hours between games.
I just enjoy busting your balls, and I have fun doing it. That's all.
Right? No. There's nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. And look, on Super Bowl Sunday, to be honest with you, you know me, to me, pregame shows, the value of the pregame shows, whether it's what we do on the Penn State Sports Network or what TV does, is that there's only X amount of inventory you can sell in the game.
Yeah.
Right? You only have X amount of TV breaks. I know if you're sitting in the stadium, it feels like there's 1,000 of them. There's 4 every quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. College basketball, there's 4 each half. 5th one is added in the second half. The NCAA tournament's 5 each half. But, okay. But there's no other place to make up for the inventory to get the money generated unless you're doing pregame, halftime, and postgame shows. So I completely understand why there's a 5-hour Super Bowl pregame show, because they can sell it. I can understand how long our pregame show is because they can sell it. I completely get all that. That doesn't mean I'm interested and want to watch it. There's nothing, not a single thing on a pregame show that I learn these days from any of these people. Like nothing. I don't learn anything. Right? There's nothing I sit back and go, oh, I'm glad I watched that. I didn't realize that before. Like, no, just I want to get to the game.
Yeah.
So usually I'm watching the Waste Management Open. I'm not kidding. Because the Waste Management Open at Scottsdale with the stadium hole and the whole thing is a fun thing to watch. I'll watch that, and then guess what? The game I'll usually maybe tune in maybe halfway through the national anthem, sometimes depending on the timing of it.
Tune in
but remember, when we're talking about 3 o'clock, okay, that's 6 o'clock in the East, right? 3 o'clock, like what Dick's talking about, hey, by 3 o'clock they're done. Well, that's 3 o'clock Pacific time. The game kicks off at 3:38 Pacific time. We're going to have to get back to the hotel to watch the game.
Yeah.
At that point, right? And Santa Anita is, I'm not quite sure what hotel we're staying in. I know where we're staying for football, and I really hope this is where we're staying for basketball because it's a great hotel. Are you going to make everybody sit out there for a few days? Might as well sit in this place. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good enough if it's good enough for the Celtics to stay in, it's good enough for us. All right. And they do stay there.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's about a half an hour to get back.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a Sunday. The traffic will not be. It's not an LA typical LA day traffic wise. If it were a Monday, we'd be battling it. Friday would be battling it as well. But we're actually going to get back. Something tells me that by the time we get back to the hotel, the Super Bowl may be in either the initial stages or midway through the first quarter, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine because remember, it's not we're going to be there like, we're back at 3 and it's 3.5 hours to kickoff. No, this is 3 Pacific time.
Yeah.
Right.
And flipping a little bit to women's basketball, to Lady Lions, going through their schedule. It was also announced Big Ten-wise. They have one Big Ten game early in December on December 7th here at the BJC against Indiana. So they'll come to town.
That's a good game. That's a good game.
Then just before the new year, they head on the road to Minneapolis. New Year's Day, they have Iowa here at the BJC.
New Year's Day.
On New Year's Day on the Wednesday, on the 1st, which is a rough one. Then the team heads on the road to Lincoln on January 5th on the Sunday. Then the following Thursday, they are here in the BJC. Then they make their West Coast trip. They get USC and Juju Watkins on Sunday, January 12th in California. And then on the Wednesday, they have UCLA in Pasadena. So they're away for both games. Then they're back for Ohio State on the 19th on the Sunday.
Yep.
Then back away to East Lansing on the 22nd.
Yep.
They have a long home stint. They get Rutgers at home on the 26th, Maryland at home on the 29th on the Wednesday, and the following Wednesday they get Washington at home as well. Then they're back on the road to Chicago, or they're going to Evanston at least on Sunday the 9th, and then Thursday the 13th they get Illinois and Champaign. I'd be interested to see if they stay out there for all those games, but back-to-back or not. I don't know what the deal is with that.
How many days apart?
It's Sunday to Thursday, so it's a little bit longer, but it could be an intriguing stay. If it's a Sunday night game, perhaps.
Yeah, see, we don't have times with these.
No, and then they're back.
I know we don't do it.
Yeah.
So,
and then they're back home, BJC on the 16th of February, away to Ann Arbor on the 22nd, at home to Purdue on the 27th, which is their final home game, which is going to be senior night just before March comes in. And then on March 2nd, they are away to Piscataway before the Big Ten tournament on March 5th through March 9th, again in Indianapolis at Gamebridge. So that is the Lady Lions Big Ten schedule, and both teams' first games are here in the BJC on November 4th. On the Monday, it's a doubleheader. Both basketball teams will be playing here at BJC. That'll be a fun one.
In my understanding, the Lady Lions will play the first game, and the men with Binghamton will play the second game.
So
that's the way I understand.
So Bucknell is the early game, Binghamton's the night game. So back-to-back basketball. I ain't complaining. But what I am excited for, Steve, is a 3:30 kickoff. Very excited for this coming for tomorrow. It's a 3:30 kickoff. I get to sleep in a little bit. Have a nice little morning to myself.
Oh, next week ought to be heaven for you.
Oh, yeah, 7 p.m. But 7:30, whichever one they end up deciding on. But Penn State, with the last 15 minutes here, has, we'll discuss that at a later time. But they have the Golden Flashes at home this weekend. Kent State notoriously got walloped by Tennessee last week, 71-zip. They lost to St. Francis, 23-17. Joe Putnam was very excited about that one because he knew the quarterback for St. Francis. I believe he'd seen him play in high school.
Yeah.
So Kent State is now coming on in with the Golden Flashes to Beaver Stadium tomorrow. 3:30 p.m. is the start time of the game. We'll be on with our pregame, 12:30. You guys will be on at 2 p.m. right after we get off, and that's going to be a very fun game for us here, Kent State Golden Flashes. What are you looking at overall? What are you watching for? We'll discuss game odds at the end here, but
I don't care about game odds.
I care about game odds, but we'll discuss that after the fact, though. So I want to hear, what are you seeing? What are you feeling about this game?
Just go out and just be you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just play. You have more talent than they do all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a knock at all.
Yeah.
On Kent State, it's just a fact. Just like Tennessee had more talent.
Mm-hmm.
Play your game. Don't go out there as an individual and try to garner stats.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Stats will occur by just playing, which means that you need to be free but precise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Turn it loose. You don't have to sit there and think about do everything, like by the numbers. Should be instinctive to you by now to do that. And I think that's what they just need to do. Just go out and play their game. Yeah. You can't do things with the idea of, well, if I do this, I'm going to get 3 sacks. Mm-hmm. No, they just happen. Just play your game, and if you don't get it, don't get frustrated. Go back and play the next play.
Yeah.
I'm going to, we're going to, okay, let's get the ball 18 times to Julian Fleming to make certain people happy. Mm. Well, if it's not there, you go someplace else.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you need to do is just go out and play your game. Okay, and all that stuff will take care of itself. You may find naturally that you end up getting, Julian Fleming 5-6 catches. You might find out that you get Liam Clifford 5-6 catches. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's something that you can't force that stuff. Mm-mm. You have to let things happen organically, and that's what they need to do. Play hard, execute, play the game organically. Don't go in thinking you've got a real chance to rack up stats. Don't do that. Just play.
And that also goes for fans, because especially going into that Bowling Green game, a lot of fans, I'll admit it, me here on the show talking about it, was like, oh, this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big a walloping against Bowling Green. And Penn State got hit in the jaw early.
But I never said that, did I?
No, you never did.
No,
but
I
that's
never
the thing
said.
Is that's why I'm saying fans.
Right, I never
Those
said.
Yeah.
How often leading up, just sort in all fairness. Now, did I think Penn State would win by a margin at the end? Sure, I did. Okay, but how often did I talk about the tight end?
Pretty often.
How often did I talk about the quarterback?
Pretty often.
How often did I talk about how big their offensive line was?
Consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often did I talk about the corner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. I try to tell people what somebody has. Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it happens like, oh, how come nobody told us about this? Yeah. No, I did the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? You just needed to take a moment and like maybe take something seriously and not just guess.
And you know what? So the Bowling Green game, I think in conjunction with the Northern Illinois beating of Notre Dame, I have a feeling is going to combine into an interesting amalgamation for Penn State fans this week, where all of a sudden there is a little bit of like, okay, let's stop for a second. I'm not even discussing the fact of Notre Dame, just like the idea of a MAC team.
But there's going to be a comparison with the Tennessee game last week.
Yes,
that's what's going to happen. Well, Tennessee did this and Tennessee did that. Oh, Penn State's doing the same thing, or why didn't Penn State do the same thing?
They're different teams.
That's just going to be.
It's going to be brought up.
But it's going to be the bar that people are looking at as to what could happen.
And spoiler, Tennessee in the second half didn't do much because they said, let's take every starter out of this game because they were up 60-something at that
65-0. They kicked a field goal in the third.
A field goal in the fourth.
A field goal in the fourth.
They won the game with their second half alone.
Right. They also kicked an onside kick in the first half.
So they just...
are you doing?
I know. But they just turned on the beating for Kent State, and Penn State might do that. It might happen. But we won't know until the game kicks off.
Look, they are the prohibitive favorite, and they should be the prohibitive favorite. And that's, okay? Yeah. And I said that before Bowling Green. Look, they're the prohibitive favorite because they were. Okay? It's the same thing with this. Yeah. Just go out, just play your game, win it, get the heck out of there.
And when we go into this game, very quickly, for odds, Penn State is minus 49.5 in terms of the favorite. The spread is minus 49 plus 49, and then the over-under is sitting at 55.5 points. When it comes to Penn State and the team, who are you looking at on this team? Are you going to be watching DeJuan Lane back at safety? Are you going to be watching the running backs with Singleton and Allen, who had really strong games last week? Who are you most excited to see playing this week? Is there a player you're intrigued by?
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Okay. People say, "Wow, which player are you going to be looking for?" I follow the ball.
Yeah, I know.
It's like,
you're pretty good at predicting things, and so I'm just trying to get an idea of what to look for.
I follow the ball.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, do I think there's an opening here to get some of the younger players in there to see what they can do? Sure. I mean, you would love to see this play out in such a way where let's take a look at Max Granville.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at Quentin Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Tyler Johnson gets going. He's
Mm-hmm.
starting to do some things. Dewan Lane is an interesting player. I had a long talk yesterday with Anthony Poindexter about him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saving that for the pregame show.
Mm-hmm.
But long talk with him yesterday about Dewan Lane.
Yeah.
And things like that. But I don't want to see turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see takeaways, but not turnovers.
What I'm watching for,
and I just want to see a crispness of play because next week you're playing the Big Ten.
Agreed. And what I would like to see, and I think is fair to say, because James Franklin has talked about it, is a clean game.
Right.
Because Penn State has racked up
back on penalties.
15 penalties, 137 yards through 2 games in terms of those that were accepted against the offense and the defense. It's a lot. It's a lot of penalties, and you got to clean that up.
Oddly enough, the team that hasn't been penalized hardly at all is Kent State.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I know what their record is.
Yeah.
But they haven't done it because of penalties. They've just been beaten.
Yeah. And so I want to see Penn State just clean up their game. Just get through the game, maybe a penalty or 2. They happen. It's part of the thing. But, limit it to under, I think, 5. Just get back to just cutting that number down. 7 and 8 is killer
That's
for you.
winning. That's winning football.
It's winning football. And as you said, going into Illinois at home, homecoming weekend, 7 p.m. kick to late game, it's going to be a big one. So you want to start getting that figured out now.
Exactly. And here's the next part. Illinois does play tonight. They are at Nebraska tonight.
Yes.
And then the game I'm interested in now, this is going to have to be one that I follow along the way only because it's opposite Penn State, and that's USC Michigan.
Yes. In Ann Arbor, 2 straight weeks of Michigan getting a big game in the big house.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
This is the way the Big Ten is, all right?
It's big game after big game.
And if you're a coach, your job got harder. Okay, as a broadcaster, your game got your job got more exciting. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm talking about from my personal point of view. Like, wow, okay, let's eventually out to the Coliseum, we're going to play USC. At some point in the next 5 years, you're going to play Oregon home and away. At some point, basketball wise, I've never done a game at Pauley Pavilion.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
All right. I'm saying that from a broadcaster point of view, it's exciting. But if I'm a coach, everybody's job got more difficult.
Yeah.
Mick Cronin's job got more difficult. Deshaun Foster's job got more difficult. James Franklin and Mike Rhodes, their jobs got more difficult because the league is deeper now in both football and basketball.
Yes.
It's just deeper.
Yeah.
Fans have complained about, for example, they'll complain about a non-conference game with Kent State. What are they playing them for? Okay, I understand that. But to me, that complaint starts to go by the wayside a little bit because of the Big Ten schedules now. Okay, Penn State, like all the Big Ten teams, has 9 conference games. Illinois is a big game next week. UCLA is different. Hasn't been here since the 60s. You're at USC.
Big game.
Okay. Well, then you got to go to Wisconsin. Right? Then you go to Ohio State. Then Washington's here for the whiteout game.
Yeah.
Well, whoever thought Washington was going to be playing a game here? Who thought UCLA was going to play a game here?
Yeah.
Right?
It's big.
Then at some point, USC's coming here.
Oregon's coming here.
At some point, Oregon's coming here. Right? The conference schedule got so much better by the addition of these 4 schools, just like their lives got, suddenly out of nowhere, it's like,
it's a great
good
murderer's row.
news. That's great. Arizona's here tonight to play. It's like, that's just great. Ohio State's here. Penn State's here. Michigan's coming in.
Yeah.
All right. So because of the addition of the 4, the brand name value for the final 75% of the season, and it is 75% of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Changes. Not only does it changes dramatically because guess what? of Penn State's 75%, 1/3 of them happen to be teams that weren't in the Big Ten a year ago because they've got UCLA and Washington here, and they're at USC. The only one of the 4 they're not playing is Oregon. So 1/3 of their schedule, they're brand new opponents in the conference with brand names. Right? It changes the home schedule dramatically. It changes the conference schedule dramatically. And so Kent State, guess what? Okay. You can't go. UCLA is going to play at LSU tomorrow, which was set up before they made the move.
Yeah. So that should be a game. It'll happen.
Right. Is UCLA better off for playing that game at this stage of their program? Because when it was set up, Chip was the coach. Okay. So Chip Kelly was the coach. All right. I mean, Deshaun Foster's like, really? Eric Bieniemy's like, we didn't play this kind of team. We were at the Kansas City Chiefs. Right?
And just going through the rest of the games going on tomorrow, because there's the middle of the day is big. So we have Penn State against Kent State, USC Michigan, UCLA LSU is at 3:30 as well. You've got Georgia Tech, Louisville, who is a sneaky good game. Louisville's ranked 19th.
Very good, by the way.
They're 19th. Georgia Tech is on their 5th game of the season. Yeah. And Haynes King is a good quarterback. They're
on their 5th game, by the way, because they played the Ireland game.
And then you've got Utah, Oklahoma State at 4 o'clock, which is 12 versus 14.
That's a really good game because Oklahoma State is very good. Their running back is terrific. And Utah, I don't know if Rising's playing or not.
Rising is playing, and so it is a combined age, those quarterbacks. I believe their combined age is like 50-something because they're like 20.
Is Alan Bowman
20s.
The quarterback, Kirk's son?
Bowman is the quarterback, yes.
Yeah. Kirk Bowman played here at Penn State, so he caught 2 touchdown passes against Nebraska in 1982, including the game winner. But Stone hands.
But those are big games. You've got Tennessee, Oklahoma at night as well. Like, it is a big day.
Tennessee, Oklahoma is interesting in that it's Oklahoma's SEC opener. It's 2 brand names head to head. Tennessee's off to a great start. Oh, and by the way, who's the head coach at Tennessee? Josh Heupel. Who, of course, played quarterback at Oklahoma, but was removed as offensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
That'll be a fun one.
Welcome home.
Oh, yeah. And we will discuss all things.
And then Arch Manning is going to start tomorrow, too.
Arch Manning starting tomorrow against UL Monroe, but that should be an easy game for Texas. But we'll find out tomorrow, of course, and we'll talk all things sports here on Sports Talk with Steve Jones. You can listen into Steve tomorrow starting at 2 o'clock. On Bigfoot Country Legends at 99.5, 107.5 of the bus, and listen into our pregame show, 12:30 to 2 o'clock, and then you can catch me and Jason Lord, your favorite people in the world, here on the postgame show. We are postgame show host extraordinaires, and who knows, maybe a Joe Putnam sighting will happen again.
The last time you and Putnam were on together, all I talked about was Syracuse.
Oh, we didn't talk that much about Syracuse.
Oh, that's...
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on Sports Talk with Steve